Welcome to today's Open Dev Talk. I'm Kevin, and today I'll show you how to use Volkswagen Group vehicle data for high mobility. So this is one of our recent collaborations with Volkswagen Group Info Services, and it's bringing the brands Volkswagen, Volkswagen commercial vehicles, Audi, Skoda, Seat, and Cupra to our offering. Starting with two brands, Audi and Skoda, already live today, and the others are following very soon. I will show you all about the kind of brand availability, the data points, and also how on an administration level you can get started to connecting your Volkswagen Group vehicles. To do that, I will be demonstrating our API as usual inside of our platform, and also then with the simulator, how you can kind of connect using the different arguments and parameters in our API that we have for these brands. Let's get stuck in. I'll share my screen, and we start from the guide and documentation pages that we have on our platform. Here we go. This announcement was done already about a month ago, and since then we have been onboarding different customers and partners onto this API, and we're happy to kind of share today the kind of details if you still have some open questions around this. Since the announcement, we talked about the different use cases, mileage data, consumption, geolocation that's supported, and I will show you how that really works in practice. If you don't have an account already, just sign up to one. It's straightforward, it's easy, and once you're inside the platform, you can go ahead and see all of the kind of components that you need. And first off, let's go to the guides, because in the guides we have a dedicated page for Volkswagen Group vehicle data. Here we go, and on this page we share information about the availability. So if we start with the model breakdown, we have it for each brand, also from the manufacturing date. Important to notice is that we have Audi and Skoda currently activated, and the other ones are coming soon. So this is still planned for this year. So in the upcoming weeks, we will also support the rest of the brands that are part of this partnership. From the kind of brand coverage and model coverage, you can see we have all the common models here in the supported list, and from the production date 2021 or 2020 even for some models, and in rare cases 2022. In general, it's 2020, 2021 for most models, and so that's easy to kind of check the eligibility based on the manufacturing date. And across these different brands, it's a consistent data scope, data list, and data packages that we offer. So there's no specific differences among the different models across the brands. To see the data that's available, you can follow the link on the docs page, which brings you directly to our Airtable as usual. So we have a good bunch of data that's really sufficient for the most kind of data use cases that we have. Starting with warning lights. So we do get dynamic warnings that are generated by the vehicle. This is partly a data, let's say a fault category that you get, and also like a description coming from the vehicle about the fault. It's a new type of property that we introduced specifically for these group brands. So of course, we have also normal dashboard warning lights and trouble codes supported by our API. In the case of Volkswagen Group, you would have to work with this dynamic warnings property, because there's no fixed amount of warnings that can come. It can be a bit different from different vehicles. So by subscribing to this data point, you can really get all types of errors that are coming from the vehicle. Then we also have mileage, so the odometer, and we get the estimated range both from the primary and the secondary engine. We do have also the energy level, both for the primary and secondary. So that's essentially the fuel level for vehicles with a combustion engine, and that's a state of charge for electric vehicles. So both of this type of data you can get depending on the type of vehicle. And for hybrid vehicles, you get both. On the maintenance level, we get the time and distance to the next service and to the next oil service, vehicle location, and also a trip summary that includes also the kind of vehicle location at the trip end. We support all of this data over both pull and push, so you can use any of our streaming capabilities to get this data, the current update frequencies in general, at ignition off when the vehicles are providing this data. We do have an exception with vehicle location that will provide data at every 60 seconds. This is also something that's not live just yet, but it's upcoming. Also, we can expect it very soon, and because location tracking on a 60-second basis is, of course, a common use case among all type of fleet solutions. We have these divisions based on packages, so it's possible to go into and subscribe to individual packages. Of course, we have a cost structure also that is optimized on a package basis. If you just want the mileage, you have a low cost to get started with that. And if you want to get consumption data, also a fixed cost for that one. And then if you want to combine a lot of different use cases, you can always subscribe to our full base package, so to speak. So for the base package today, we support the base package with the data provided at trip end, but in the upcoming updates, we'll also have base package including GPS, so vehicle location data every 60 seconds as well. All this information is here. You can easily look at it and also decide on what's best for your use case, and also get in touch with us so we can configure the right access for your data containers. Now, with the models and brands and data points covered, let's have a look at how we do the actual activation. So we have a bit more of the details written down in our fleet clearance API. Let's go into that one. Oh, my bad. One click too much. Here we go to the vehicle clearance API. So in general, you use the vehicle clearance API just as normal, but we do have some differences. So in the case of Volkswagen Group brands, we do require an additional tag to be passed in, and it has to be a VW Group customer name, and it's a free text form of text of the fleet owner. So as most of our customers and partners that work with us are fleet solution providers offering the data to different fleet customers, that's the name of the fleet customer, so the fleet owner in the end that is passed in. If you are the fleet operator, you are the fleet owner already, you can tell us to just configure your data container to your specific tag already. So there's no need to pass this into the clearance API, but in most cases, it's best to do it and unless you communicate it to us and we can manage it differently. So in the Volkswagen Group customer name, that's a way for us to kind of link a VIN to a specific fleet. And also, in addition to that, we have some paperwork that has to be taken care of. We have an automated link with terms and conditions that the fleet operator needs to accept. And that link is also something we're sharing on an individual basis. So you can really customize that and just send out the link to your fleets and they can accept it. And at that point of time, you can also start activating vehicles coming from their fleet. This is a workflow on place working today. And we're also aiming to improve this to simplify it a bit. And there's also some updates there we can expect in the beginning of next year. To see this in action, let's go into the platform and go into our develop mode. It's right in the sandbox. I've already created a data container for today. So you can see it's just created right now. I selected a few permissions. Obviously, the Volkswagen Group supports some more permissions, but we start with that. And then it's time to set it up, and let's try the clearance API using the tags functionality. Postman is usually our friend in this situation. Oh, some typo issues. There we go, Postman. If you haven't used Postman before with high mobility, it's easy. You can just go in to the public API network and search for high mobility. And we have our public API workspace and also the fleet vehicle APIs. I can just do it quickly. I will not set up everything from scratch, but I think this can be worthwhile to see. I'll import a copy into Postman. Here we go. Let's just select the demo workspace from today. Here we go. And now I have this also in Postman. So I will go ahead and switch also screen so you can also see what's going on. Because now in the Postman, I can just import the kind of API keys from the app that I have already created. And this works just the same way as we have in most other kind of open dev talks where we've spoken about the Postman and Fleet API clearance. This is how it looks like when you have it imported. In terms of Fleet Vehicle APIs, authorization, first thing you need to do is to authenticate using the base URL, OAuth client ID, client secret. When you download the collection, you already get this here downloaded. So it's already set to sandbox. I just need to enter the client ID and client secret. I can get that information from the app page where I just were left. Here we go. It goes quickly. bringing the client secret, client ID, and also the client secret for this test app. I will save it, select the fleet environment, go back here, and hit authorize, get new access token. Authentication completed. So you can see I got the token from our API. I will use this token, and then I can start with the vehicle management. So I can here now really list the vehicles and create clearance for different vehicles. I have a simulator already I can use for the test purpose. I revoked it before. So let's go ahead and actually create and add a vehicle from my fleet. So in Sandbox, I'm using simulators. I go into the body part. I pass in the VIN, and I pass in the brand. So in the real life, this would be Audi, this would be Skoda, or also the other Volkswagen brands, group brands as they are coming live. But for now, I will just put in Sandbox, because that's always when you work with the simulator, it's Sandbox you have to pass in. To get ready for the live activations, you can already in the Sandbox also start to use the tags that are needed. So I go ahead here and hit tags, and I will write in the tag that's needed from the documentation page. So that's something that it's exactly the same tag as I just covered, and I will just copy it from there. Here we go. Oops. Volkswagen Group customer name, and then you put in your customer name. So this, of course, you would manage on a dynamically basis. As soon as the first time we detect a new fleet customer you pass into a VIN, we will do some magic in the background to set up the right data scopes on the Volkswagen Group side. And the next time we see the same kind of customer name come in, we just reuse that. And you just can keep on passing the new names. No need to kind of pre-register or anything like that. We have wanted to keep it as simple as possible. Now I go ahead here and add the fleet name. Maybe it's some kind of fleet rental Inc. And then I go ahead and create the clearance. So you can see here the tag is always kind of attached to the clearance. It's even when you are getting the status for a vehicle. So let's get, for instance, the latest clearance for this vehicle. Oops. For the vehicle I just added, I'll copy them in from here. Let's see the clearance status. Send. Okay, it's approved. So I can see for the simulator it is approved, and I can start working with that one. And you can also see the group customer name here always to see the rentals. It's also possible for you to kind of query the fleet or the list vehicles API. You can also pass in a filter to always get the customers with a specific Volkswagen Group customer name tag if you want to. That's also a possibility. Now, once I've added this, I can also try to fetch some data. I go into the vehicle data endpoint, hit vehicle send, and we got a failure because there's no active consent for this vehicle. That is because I haven't entered the VIN. I need to enter it here as well. And this time it works. So I get the kilometers and 2026. I also get the vehicle location. So that's all working by passing in the tags just the same way in production. Now, to see how you can work specifically with Volkswagen Group data in our simulator, I will reshare my second window. Here we go. We are back in the console. And in the console, I can go in and have a look at the simulation studio. So this was the vehicle I was just using right now. You can see here, we have a match on the VIN. But it was a generic kind of set here is seen in the simulator. So to really get the real experience, go into the Scenes tab, select Volkswagen, Audi, Skoda, Seat, and Cupra. If you go into the digital scene, you can also see an Audi here, and you can see some different views of this. It also shows the kind of different data points that are supported. That's the same kind of data points you get in Airtable, and you can go in and change the settings and work with this Audi specific data set, or let me say Volkswagen Group specific data set right here in the simulator. Same way, if I now go in with Audi simulator and hit open, I hit play to run the simulation, it also generates some data that is also then pushed onto our data feed. So apart from using the clearance API to activate it, the data consumption itself is the same as for all other brands. It's put onto our stream using different MQTT or Kinesis, the latest edition, or using AWS S3, and also other options that will be coming up later next year. And once I've run this simulation, I can also just maybe as a last thing, have a look at how the data is kind of arriving on my end, and not just share the terminal window for that purpose, and using our kind of Mosquito sub to consume the data. In Mosquito, I have also set up credentials already, so it goes a bit faster. And here you can see data coming in from the simulator. These are the latest kind of data point that I missed since my last connection. So it's easy enough. And if you want to see more on how MQTT is used or how the Clearance API works with all the credentials, we have specific and dedicated videos for that. One last thing to mention about the Volkswagen Group data is that there can be some challenges sometimes with privacy settings. In general, we haven't seen much of these issues with the larger bunch of vehicles that we have already connected in the last month. But in some cases, it can happen that the privacy settings are turned off and no data can be shared. But we also can detect this over the API if there are any issues with the privacy settings. And in those cases where it can happen, there is a specific guide that you can refer to and also share with your customers and also even with the drivers of the vehicles. I will give you an idea how that looks like. So this guide, it's a PDF and it includes all the different brand vehicles. It talks about vehicle data access activation settings, and it covers all the different brands and model, basically covering how in the infotainment system in the vehicle, the privacy settings can be modified in order to make the data sharing happen. The user interface looks a bit different depending on the brand, depending on the model, but essentially it works pretty much the same way. But as mentioned, this is something we have seen very few issues with, but also in those cases where there are issues, where there is some work ongoing to kind of activate or give more control to the fleet owner, how they kind of manage the vehicle access in those kind of circumstances as well. That's it. I think this is hopefully something you find useful as you're starting to use Volkswagen Group vehicle data. And if there's, as always, if there's any questions, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help you and support you in this to activate the apps and data containers that you have in the platform for any of these brands. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.